This podcast is sponsored by Talkspace.
Last year, I went through many different life changes. I needed to take a pause and examine how I was feeling in the inside to better show up for the ones who need me to be my best version of myself.
When you're navigating life's changes, Talkspace can help. Talkspace is the #1 rated online therapy, bringing you professional support from licensed therapists and psychiatry providers that you can access anytime, anywhere.
Living a busy life, navigating a long-distance relationship, becoming a first-step father, Talkspace made all of those journeys possible. I could speak with my therapist in the office. I could speak with my therapist in the comfort of my home. I was never alone.
Talkspace works with most major insurers, and most insured members have a $0 copay. No insurance, no problem. Now get $80 off your first month with promo code SPACE80 when you go to Talkspace.com. Match with a licensed therapist today at Talkspace.com. Save $80 with code SPACE80 at Talkspace.com.
I started injecting cocaine, then I fell off.
Oh, you were injecting cocaine?
Yeah, I was injecting cocaine.
Wow.
Injecting 20 to 100 times a day. You're probably not going to eat a whole lot.
Aaron Singerman, the founder of Redcon1, the fastest growing supplement brand on the planet. I'm here with him now, and you are going to love this story.
One day I walk into the office, and I literally get kicked out. And PJ and the other shareholders said, you're out. And I took a day to be sad, and the next day I got together with that same group of people we fired, and I said, fuck them. Let's go in, start another company, and figure out what we're going to do. We had $1 million a month within the first year of the business. In the second year of the business, we passed up Blackstone's best year. In the third year of business, we did more than they did in the entire history of Blackstone in that year. So we were doing 9 figures in revenue by the time that I was actually indicted. We were doing well over 100 million in revenue.
With everything you've been through in your life, the drug addiction, death, loss, prison, divorce, after all of that, what does being determined actually mean to you?
It means,
what does it take to be determined? I'm not talking about the Instagram version. I'm not talking about the motivational poster version. I'm talking the real version. The version you live when you're deep down in the gutter and you've lost everything and you've gained it back and then you've lost it again. Today, I'm with a man that has founded multiple multi-million-dollar companies, that has gone through so many journeys in his life where he's been down and he's gotten back up and built amazing things. I'm sitting here with Aaron Singerman, the founder of Redcon1, the fastest growing supplement brand on the planet. We're talking 80 plus countries. We have them in Dick's Sporting Goods, Walmart, GNC, in this massive HQ. I'm here with him now, and you are going to love this story. Welcome to the Determined Society.
Thank you for having me, Shawn. I appreciate it.
Hey,
Thank
man,
you so much.
Such a pleasure to meet you, man. I've been using your products for years.
Thank you. That's very cool. That's the first thing you told me when we met, and that's always very nice to hear. It's very complimentary. Each one of the products are kind of like your children.
Yes.
In a way. And I'm always very proud of them. And whenever anybody comes up and says, that's like somebody tells you your daughter's pretty or your son's handsome or smart, it's kind of the same kind of feeling. On a little less level, but still very, very nice. Hey,
you know what? I mean, the thing is, man, the supplement industry, you never know what you're getting sometimes.
For sure.
Fillers, if it's third-party tested, what's actually in the product. And the thing that I love about your product, it's very transparent.
Yes.
I can literally read what's in the canister there for me, right? And for me, when I chose Redcon1, it was based on the ideology. I want to stick to whole foods as much as humanly possible, but I don't want to eat all day. And I know I need to supplement protein if I'm going to get the 200 grams of protein every day, right? And so when I saw the MRE, and I saw it at the local GNC, I'm like, whole food protein. I'm like, I'm all in.
Yes.
And I love it.
Yeah, that's been a very successful product. I mean, all the products, we've came from the initial 13 products that we started almost exactly 10 years ago. We're like a week or so away from 10-year anniversary to the products of today, which is went a lot more towards beverage. And it's been quite a journey, but that one I'm very proud of because it's different in a market of a lot of the sameness. In a very competitive space, we created something unique and a product that didn't exist before, which is really tough to do in our space. And then it's lasted the test of time. It's been around for 7 years, and people are buying it at a very high rate, where it's still probably our number 3 product total. So very exciting, and I appreciate you saying that.
Absolutely. Total War #1? Or
Total War was #1 for years and years and years, but Total War has dropped down a little bit, where the Emery Light family has picked up a lot of the. So we have Emery bars, we have the Emery powder drink that you did, that's Emery Light that you like, and then the Emery, the whole food product with the carbohydrate. So those three together, if you're looking at a product family, that's the #1 product family.
It's amazing, man. What you built here is incredible.
Thank you.
And you know, like I mentioned before, I mean, listen. Everybody knows a chapter of your story, but I want the whole book, man.
Yeah.
You know, I want the whole book. I want to understand you. So let's go back to New Orleans.
Yeah.
Your dad owned a clothing store. Your grandfathers were war veterans. Talk to me about what it was actually like growing up in the Singerman household.
It was great. It was great. You know, it's funny because you don't know what you don't know. We certainly didn't. I didn't grow up in a affluent household. My grandparents, who started a lot of the business. My grandfather, Charlie Singerman, started multiple businesses with his brothers, his two brothers. And before I was born, they were very, very successful. And my dad, when he finished school in Texas, he came home, started working for his dad. And unfortunately, that was kind of the beginning in the 80s of when the singular store owned by a single operator started to get harder and harder into the 90s. And then eventually, you know, when the Banana Republics of the world came into the malls, single owners for like men's clothing stores, women purses stores, they owned at one point a few drugstores. This is before Walgreens, CVS, you know, et cetera, came to town. And then once you started having these chains come into the local malls and everything, it got tougher and tougher. So by the time I was a teenager, the stores started dropping off. And then Hurricane Katrina happened, and obviously that was kind of the end of my dad's retail business. When my grandfather and his brothers passed away, it got harder by then. But it was a great childhood. I said all that if I reverse back, I feel like I had a really great childhood. I had very loving, supportive parents. My mom and dad were both great. Came from a very close Jewish family. And I felt very supportive and loved. I have a little sister. I really, when I look back on my life, all the troubles that I've been through, I can't relate any of them to or connect or correlate any of that with my folks, other than the fact that my folks were very, very, very nice and completely oblivious.
Oh, wow.
They just didn't know. So like any of the trouble that I got into that that befell me or that I caused on my own was never because they did something wrong or that I felt some kind of hole or I wasn't loved or supported. I was all of those things. They were very, very good parents. So growing up, I never had any childhood trauma or anything bad other than the typical stuff that every kid deals with.
Sure.
I would say it was a 9 out of 10 childhood. They did the best that they could with what they had.
Amazing, dude.
When I go back and look, I visited New Orleans recently with my girlfriend, and I showed her my home and where I came from. It looks like, it's crazy because I drive around, I'm like, this place is a dump. I'm like, holy shit, this place is a dump. But to me as a kid, I never thought that. I never knew that. I never was around Rolls Royce and Mercedes even. Mercedes in New Orleans is a big deal, let alone a Rolls Royce Ferrari. I didn't know people who had it. I didn't see it. I didn't want it. There was no internet, so I didn't know this is something that people have. I was just like, it seems like we're doing pretty good. So I never had any of that growing up, and all good.
It's really funny you say that because a couple of years ago, for the summer, I took my wife and my 3 children to my hometown in Concord, California. And I was raving about this place, man. Aaron, I was like, fuck, this place is the most amazing thing that you've ever seen in your life. Wait till you see this place. Yeah. And we rolled through on the way to my aunt's house and just, this is where I went to school. This is where we used to, I'm like, this place is a shithole.
Yeah.
You know?
How long had it been since you visited?
Man, I left California in 2007 or 2008. I had been back to California, but mostly LA if I'm doing shows or something like that, never to my hometown. And to your point, it's like, you look at it and it's like, wow.
It's hard to believe.
It's hard to believe,
yeah.
but it's where we grew up.
Sure.
You know, so I say it looks like a shithole, but it's still right here.
Oh yeah, you drive around and you remember everything. And and New Orleans in general for me is it's a very special place because not just because I grew up there, but because of the culture and like it's obviously the most historic place in America, I believe. You know, there's sister cities like Charleston and other places that are historic, but New Orleans, you walk through the French Quarter and there's just no place like it.
There's sure shit not.
No, there just isn't. So like it was a great place to grow up, and I still feel very nostalgic for it. When I go back, it still feels like home.
Yeah, no, awesome. I mean, you mentioned Hurricane Katrina. And as you know, I told you I spent 4 years in Louisiana playing baseball at LSU.
You just missed it almost, right?
I missed it. Yeah. What year was that again? That was
2005, August of 2005.
So I missed it by 2 years.
Yeah.
And I remember where I was. I was at my friend Stephanie Carrasco in Sal's house. And I saw this on the TV, and my heart broke because I have a very close connection with Louisiana.
Of course.
It's everything to me.
Sure.
I get goosebumps thinking about Baton Rouge and Louisiana.
Sure.
And to see everybody displaced and thinking about all the refugees that got moved to Houston because they lost everything, you know, and you were one of those families that had to be moved. You know, you were a refugee.
Sure.
You know, you lost everything in New Orleans. How did that set you up? I mean, for later on in life, because you've lost a lot in your life. How did it prepare you for the things that were going to come on in the future?
Whew. I don't know how it prepared me. I mean, at that time in my life, I was 25 years old in 2005, and things weren't going particularly well at the time. So, like, things weren't going great. So what I remember is that, you know, I was there, I was waiting it out. So my parents had left, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to stick it out and wait. I've been through so many hurricanes in my life. They really end up almost always being nothing.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm like, it's no big deal. When I was a kid, I look forward to hurricanes because you get off school and we could play in the water. I was like, this is great. What's the fear? Everybody's leaving. And then Mireille Nagin at the time came on the TV and said, if you have a car and you're not leaving, I want to let people know you're going to die. Like, people are going to die.
I do remember that.
He's like, you people are going to die.
I think everybody can agree that going into a furniture store can be one of the most stressful things you can ever experience as a homeowner or a renter trying to fulfill all the furniture for your home or apartment. But I got to tell you what, when my wife and I bought our home, we needed to outfit our whole office. We needed a desk and we needed a place to read because we love to do that. So we found this amazing purple futon that we knew it was going to fit perfectly in there. And come to find out, once we ordered from Wayfair, oh my gosh, we were so happy with how it looked in the space. So again, we ordered from Wayfair, and honestly, you should too. They have everything from seating to appliances, grills, storage, lightings, and decor. One place, everything you need, no bouncing between stores. But here's the best part. I can't stand putting things together. But don't worry about it. They can literally deliver and put together and do everything from A to Z for you. You just pick what you want and they deal with the rest. Ready to upgrade your home for way less? Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home and get your space ready for less. That's WAYFAIR.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
And I was like, okay, I've never heard that before. And so I had the reason why, full transparency, the reason why I didn't want to leave is because at the time I was addicted to Oxycontins and I had no supply to buy Oxycontin in Houston. So I was like, I'm going to wait this out because if I leave, how am I going to get super dope sick? I don't know what I'm going to do. So I was really reticent to leave my supply of drugs. I mean, that's really the reason. I didn't tell my parents that, but that's the truth. So I wanted to stay in my apartment so that I had my connection. So when he said, you're going to die, I'm like, okay, like,
time to roll.
Yeah, I got to go. I had a car, and thank God I had the forethought to fill up. Somebody must have told me to do this. Fill up a bunch of extra gas tanks full of gas, the red plastic ones, and I put them in the back of my, at the time, very old Ford Explorer. I put them in the back, and I packed up and took off to Houston. And normally it's a 4-hour drive. It took me about 20 hours due to the traffic and the amount of cars that stalled out because they had no gas. And strictly because I had the gas tanks, I was able, because all the gas stations were all out of gas.
Yeah.
So it was like a war zone. And so I made it to Houston in 20 hours of driving. And then I posted up initially at my parents' friend's house. And then I eventually got a FEMA apartment that they provided, a FEMA motel room, and then eventually a FEMA apartment. So I don't know. I think that, if I learned anything, if I were to go back and learn anything, it's that, people can be adaptable. I can be adaptable. Like, bad things happen. It seemed like, what am I going to do? And this happened many times in life in different circumstances, on drugs, not on drugs, where it seems like the end of the world, and it's really not. There's always an opportunity to be resilient, to be determined and come back. And this happened to me many, many times in my life, probably more times than I would like.
Yeah, man.
But it's like, like Rocky says, it's getting up, right?
Dude.
Getting knocked down is a part of life.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate your transparency and openness about your drug use and your addiction, because I think it tells a story, but what spurred it on? I know there was a death of a good friend and then a violent death of a girlfriend. Mm-hmm. Is that what started the usage? Or
No, I was doing it way before that.
Okay.
What started the usage was, I have to extrapolate out what started, because I can't, like I said, that's what I wanted to start with by saying I don't have any demons.
Yeah.
Like, I wasn't molested by an uncle or some terrible thing didn't befall me. I wasn't picked on or bullied as a kid. My parents loved me. That's the important part to start with.
Sure.
Because usually somebody that has my history has some kind of hole they're filling.
Yeah, like a foster child, like no one loved them or something like that.
Or you don't feel good about yourself. You don't have any confidence. I had all that stuff. I had all those pieces. That's why I think that I can draw it all back to, as a teenager, I was really into bodybuilding. So from the time I was 13, everybody would be dropped off after school at their house from the bus, or they'd go to sports and then would get picked up and dropped off by their parents to the house, whatever. I would go to the French Riviera Spa, which was a gym. Mm-hmm. So from the time I was 13, whether I was doing something in sports or I was getting dropped off by the bus, I would get dropped off at the gym. From the time I was 13, every single day. And I loved it. I wanted to be like Arnold, and I read every book on it. I was obsessed with it. And so by the time I was 16, I started taking anabolic steroids. Mm-hmm. I ordered them from Europe on the internet. This is before people were even using the internet. And so this is in
So you're a pioneer.
Well, I was addicted to, I was a pioneer, literally a steroid pioneer. So I was addicted to the internet before I was addicted to bodybuilding. Mm-hmm. I was addicted to computers. So from the time I was 10 to the time I was 13 when I discovered bodybuilding, I was all about internet relay chat, bulletin boards, computer programming. But for my bar mitzvah, all I wanted was an Apple computer. It was the thing.
Well, it's like a simple thing.
That's all I wanted, but it was $8,000, so it wasn't that simple. But I wanted the best Apple computer. So I was super into it. And then when I discovered bodybuilding, some of that obsession, which I definitely have, shifted from computers towards bodybuilding. And then how do you be the best at bodybuilding? As soon as I realized that all these guys were taking steroids that I looked up to, the Ronnie Coleman, Shawn Ray, Kevin Levrone, Dorian Yates that I followed, I'm like, oh, they're all on steroids. I need to get steroids.
Yeah.
So I used the internet to find steroids from Europe. I paid with it with Western Union, and I got them shipped to my house. And I, myself and two other friends, took the Sustanon Rejects with the humongous needle, which I didn't know. It comes with a 20 gauge needle, which is huge, like
That's
a harpoon.
massive, dude.
A harpoon. And we went
It's like spearfishing, bro.
We went to his bathroom, and I was the first one to go. And I stuck it in my butt. I was shaking and sweating. I stuck it in my butt and injected it. And I pulled it out, blood literally shot out because it was such a big hole. Shot out. And the other two guys were like, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. Because they saw
the hell you are.
And yeah, that's right. And I think that level, being able to do that as a teenager, and I don't like to say steroids are a gateway drug necessarily, but I think for me, being able to do that to achieve a result kind of lends to the fact that you would do other things. So even though they're not directly correlated, but then later on, around 18 years old, there became a drug that got really popular in bodybuilding called Nubane, which was a narcotic antagonist. So it's not really a narcotic, and they give it to women who are pregnant if they don't want to give the pregnant woman a narcotic pain medicine. And it got popular in bodybuilding where people were saying, if you take this, you can go past the pain threshold and you'll train harder.
So dangerous.
And I was like, yeah, it was ridiculous. And I was like, I need that.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I went to Mexico, I got that, and I started taking it, and it's an injectable painkiller. And so even though it's nowhere near as strong as an Oxycontin or something like that, it's just like that ability to do that and that level of extreme that I have, that's for sure that I have. Like I said, I definitely can be when I want to do something, I just do it. I figure out a way to get it done. And so even when it's bad. And so back then, that was focused on bodybuilding, and what goes around bodybuilding is unfortunately steroids and drug use. And so that's if I tie it back, the long answer to the question is I think that the steroids and trying to find a pharmaceutical edge also can make you have the ability to go, well, if this makes me feel better, if I feel more excited or I'm more energy or whatever, then it's doing the same thing. Big muscles, big energy, big whatever,
Yeah, then like those types of things where you just, it's a slow fade, right? Sure. It's like, okay, the steroids, which I think every athlete and I think every man I'm on HRT. Yeah, it's the same thing, right? Of course, no. It's kind of like one of those things where it becomes such a normal thing to stick yourself and okay, now there's an injectable painkiller, right? Okay, let me go do that now. And it opens the gate for,
especially if you're a teenager.
Absolutely. Yeah. Your brain is not fully formed until you're 25.
25, yeah.
So you have all those years for you to kind of like open that gateway to try other things.
Yeah.
And there was other types of usage, right? There was heroin and...
I did everything.
Yeah.
The only things I didn't do was crack, because I felt like crack was, I was like, that's
so crack, beneath me. I'm not doing that.
I can't do that. That and crystal meth, because crystal meth, the people that I saw that did it, they acted so weird and then they looked bad and I was too vain. I was like, I'm not gonna ruin myself because the people that I saw physically do it, they didn't look good.
No, they shrink up pretty quickly.
You shrink up. I was probably the most jacked heroin addict because I was still 240 and eating my meals and
are you serious?
Going to the gym. Yeah,
that's still discipline, man.
Yeah, no matter what, I except when I started doing cocaine. I started injecting cocaine, then I fell off.
Oh, you were injecting cocaine?
Yeah, I was injecting cocaine.
Wow.
Yeah. So the injecting cocaine, and if you're doing that, injecting 20 to 100 times a day, you're probably not going to eat a whole lot.
No, you're not. You're not.
So then the eating, going to the gym, it all falls apart. That was the only time in my adult life that I didn't go to the gym and train at least 4 days a week, was because you just can't focus on anything else.
What was the time frame in that period for you?
That was in Houston. That was when I got to Houston.
A year, 2 years? Like how?
That entire time period in Houston, I was there a total of through almost 3 years, 2.5 years before I moved away. I met my future wife and future ex-wife. Future ex-wife.
We all have one of those,
yes,
right?
Yes. So once I got on much stabler footing while I was in Houston, I met a different girl, not my ex-wife, Amy, who helped me get off everything. I had an ex-girlfriend, another girlfriend, die. I had a friend die in front of me, and then, like you mentioned earlier, I had a friend die in front of me, and then that ex-girlfriend that was with me during that period of time, which is a whole crazy story. She ended up dying, and I was like, okay, I need to this is I'm on a path where I'm either going to be one of these people that die, or I'm going to get off of it. And at the time, I decided, using that same level of intensity and dedication that I used to go find drugs or to whatever. I used that to find my passion and pursue the world of bodybuilding in the media sense instead of the competitive bodybuilding sense. So
you were chief and editor for RX. Was it RX?
So RX Muscle. I started off having nothing, where I was. My parents were helping me pay for the apartment once I got off drugs. It was $500 a month in the middle of the most shitty neighborhood in Houston, Texas. And once I got off of everything, I decided that I had to pay my bills, so I became a personal trainer. But I transitioned from that into focusing all of my free time and all of my energy and all my focus into trying to get into the world of bodybuilding. Because I realized, I looked around and I said, honestly, at the time, I think I was 27, 27-year-old, 6'2" Jewish guy. I'm not going to be the next Arnold or Ronnie Coleman, right? It's just not going to happen.
I think everybody can agree that going into a furniture store can be one of the most stressful things you can ever experience as a homeowner or a renter trying to fulfill all the furniture for your home or apartment. But I got to tell you what, when my wife and I bought our home, we needed to outfit our whole office. We needed a desk and we needed a place to read because we love to do that. So we found this amazing purple futon that we knew it was going to fit perfectly in there. And come to find out, once we ordered from Wayfair, oh my gosh, we were so happy with how it looked in the space. So again, we ordered from Wayfair, and honestly, you should too. They have everything from seating to appliances, grills, storage, lightings, and decor. One place, everything you need, no bouncing between stores. But here's the best part. I can't stand putting things together. But don't worry about it. They can literally deliver and put together and do everything from A to Z for you. You just pick what you want and they deal with the rest. Ready to upgrade your home for way less? Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home and get your space ready for less. That's WAYFAIR.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
And if that was even possible, which it probably never was, I would need to have been dedicated from the time I was a teenager and never given up, never had any of this other stuff. And even then, it's probably incredibly unlikely, genetically. But there were a lot of people in bodybuilding surrounding the competitive space. So I thought I could write articles, I could do podcasts, I could do media, I can interview people, I can speak well. I thought I could get in here in some form and fashion, even if it doesn't mean being on stage. So I focused all of this crazy intensity into trying to figure out how to do that. So what I did was I wrote articles and I would send them to I sent them to everywhere, from Muscle and Fitness, Muscle and Fitness Hers. At the time there was Flex Magazine, there was Muscular Development. So I sent them to everybody. Free articles, I would write them and I would send them, this is for free, put it in your magazine, give me a chance. And then I would write to every podcast host, because there was only a few at the time. And I'd write to each one of them and ask them, or try to interact with them to get them to notice me. And then one of the bigger things they did was on the bulletin boards that were popular at the time, like Muscular Development, Get Big, there's a whole slew of them. I would be the only guy using my real name. So everybody else would put a picture of whatever they want, a girl with her titties out and call themselves Big Swole 69. I was Aaron Singer with my own headshot. And I posted, I'm not exaggerating, tens of thousands of times.
Wow.
Trying to get noticed by somebody. And eventually I did. And that led from one thing to another. I was a contributing feature writer for Muscle Mag. I traveled all over the world, from India to all over the place, doing articles for them. Some of them are on the walls in here, in the conference room. And through doing that, I got all kinds of other opportunities, and I just chased every opportunity with everything I had, and was able to create a life where I was able to pay my bills, and travel the world for free and cover the world of bodybuilding, which was a dream come true.
What I'll tell you first and foremost is a lot of people, most people, right? Not us.
Yeah.
Would stop, right? It's like, I'm not being noticed. This is obviously not my path, but the discipline, man, the determination to continue in your process, to continue with the reach outs. And then one day someone notices you record over 300 plus podcasts, right?
Yeah.
And then you're covering bodybuilding. When you were doing all that with bodybuilding, what did that teach you about entrepreneurship, branding, and people?
Well, the one thing I can tell you that taught me for sure, which was, first off, the don't give up is huge, right? I tell the kids, try your hardest, don't give up, right? Those are two of the Singerman rules that we talk about every night. I go over what are the rules. And so these two of the rules being those two, that's an incredibly important thing is, it's going to be hard. And it was not easy to get noticed. I wrote tens of thousands of posts. I wrote hundreds of articles. I wrote hundreds of emails. I put a lot of time in to get to a place where I was considered an authority in the world of bodybuilding. And it happened in a relatively short time. In 5 years, I went from literally nobody to the main, or one of the main faces and voices in the world that I loved, paying my bills, not making a fortune by any means, but paying all my bills, saving a little money, and doing it in the thing that I love. I think that the big thing that there's a few lessons it taught me. Of course, don't give up, try your hardest. People will notice if you try your hardest. Even if you're McDonald's pushing the broom, if you work your ass off, somebody's going to notice if you're going to become assistant manager. If you kick ass as assistant manager, somebody's going to notice and make you manager. It just keeps happening.
You do that, you get a franchise.
Yeah, before you know it, you get a franchise. I mean, it sounds hard, and yeah, it will take a long time. But I guarantee you, whether it's in here, I notice. When somebody hears here longer or working harder or producing more results, they get noticed. So that's part of life. I worked my ass off when I covered the world of bodybuilding. I would shoot the video myself. I would set up the interview, just like these cameras, and I would interview the competitors. I would rush back to my room to edit the video, to upload the video as fast as I could onto the site, to tag it, to put it onto the webpage, and then to share it on all of our various social media that existed at the time. And other people that did the same thing as me for Flex and for a bunch of different outlets, Muscular Development at the time, they would say, please slow down. They'd be like, what are you doing? You're making us look bad.
I'm not slowing down.
And I'd be like, yep, sorry.
Keep up.
So they hated me. They didn't like it because they'd be like, well, this guy's all by himself.
Because you remind them that they're not doing enough.
No, they don't. And they didn't like, because what happened is I would beat them getting the product up. And so everybody else at the other magazines was like, why is this guy beating you every time? But that was noticed. It was noticed by everybody. It wasn't just noticed by people in the media space. It was noticed by the judges. It was noticed by the athletes. It was noticed by the sponsors. It was noticed by, and I was able to make a lot of money in connections by working the hardest, by visibly working the hardest. The other thing is that by going to all these places, I met everybody. So the amount of connections that I was able to build by going to all these places and people seeing that I'm working my ass off, and then introducing myself, being kind, being nice, being a caring person, trying to help people out, and then, but being, if I can being collaborative and trying to be helpful whatever way I can. So that was really big. Meeting people was big, and being places. I tell people a lot, you can't substitute. I know now it's a virtual world, but you can't substitute meeting somebody, looking them in the eye, shaking their hand, and making an impression. Well, if I meet somebody in a Zoom, man, I can't tell you if I'm going to remember them or not,
That's the thing, Aaron. And that's why I love, because I used to do the show virtually.
Yeah.
And it was fine. It was what I could afford at the time. And it was something that, it was just a natural progression, right? And then when I was able to get in person, like sitting here with you, if we did a virtual interview, we wouldn't have the connection we have right now. Sure. We got to go on an amazing tour of your HQ, your warehouse, everything. Every single operational thing you have going on in here, we now have connected because of that. And when you don't get in the room, I'm talking about people in general. So people watching and listening, take big notice on this. You have to get in the damn room.
Yeah, I agree.
It is a virtual world. But if you continue to think it's virtual and not get, heart to heart with somebody face to face, you're going to lose.
Yeah, I can tell you firsthand with Redcon1, when we have a new manufacturer or a new partner, I make a point to fly out there and see the facility, meet the people, and it goes a long way. Because I often will have to call them and tell them, hey, I need this to be moved up in line. I'm desperate to run this. I might need to pay them late. Whatever happens, I want a discount because I'm buying so much. It's very difficult to call somebody and ask them a favor if you have no relationship.
Exactly.
If you're text messaging them and you have no relationship, and I text them, hey, we just ran out of Emery Light Vanilla. I need it to be run not 2 weeks, I need it run today. They're gonna be like, sorry.
Yeah. No relationship.
No, I don't even know you.
Yeah. Exactly.
So it's everything is a relationship business, and don't think that you can substitute a text message for an in-person visit.
100%, man. I mean, even a phone call too sometimes. I know people are busy, but
phone call is definitely better than text message and email. There's no question.
Absolutely. And sometimes someone will call me and I'm not able to get back to them right away, but when I do, I say thanks for the call.
Yeah.
Thank you for actually calling and making this personal, because we want to hide behind our text message and our DMs and our emails, and that doesn't get anything done, man. It doesn't move the needle.
I agree.
Everything you've done, man. So you're in Houston, and then eventually you started Blackstone Labs with your best friend at the time, PJ Braun. Yep. Take us back to that kitchen table, man.
So reversing a little bit back from there, at the time through RX Muscle, I had made a lot of business relationships, and at the time back, when that started happening, the impetus behind that was I had gotten my ex-wife now, Darielle, pregnant. We got pregnant with Asher, who is my 13-year-old boy now. And when we got pregnant, I realized she was a personal trainer, a corporate trainer at a kind of like a big call center. She would train the C-level people.
That's cool.
She was making $5,000 a month-ish. I was making probably $6,500, $6,000 a month, somewhere around there. Not a whole lot of money. We were living in a rental house, and we're making all the bills. We're saving a little money, or good life. But as soon as she got pregnant, I was like, oh shit! I can't make $6,000 a month and live in Boca and have a son. It's impossible, Even then, now it's really impossible.
Yeah, now good luck. Yeah.
Exactly. So it was like I needed to pick up the pace, and so I felt for the first time, really ever in my life, pressure to perform for somebody other than me. And so as soon as she really got pregnant, I was like, okay, I need to start figuring out how to make money. And so I told Dave, who is the owner of RX Muscle, I need to make money. He said, sell advertising. And so he said, I'll give you 10% of whatever money you bring in, because it's not real estate, right? We can make stuff up. I would make up new packages, and I would sell people on digital ads. Digital ads, there's no cost of goods, right? So 10% was a good deal for him, for sure. It was a good deal for me because it's extra income. The $6,500 a month or $6,000 a month, I could really supplement that quickly. So within the first few weeks, I was bringing in a few $100,000 a month in sales because I felt pressure. And because of that, I started reaching out to all of these supplement company owners that I had met over the years, and I have a reason to talk to them about business. And several of them ended up hiring me to help them with marketing. Okay. One of which was called Iron Mag Labs, and they gave me $4,000 a month to be their marketing director. And so I started kind of piling up all these gigs. At one point I was the marketing director of that. I was a marketing director of a med spa, testosterone replacement therapy, orbitnutrition.com, a few other ones.
This is all at one time.
Yeah, all at one time.
Jesus, bro.
All at one time. So I went from making $6,000 a month to making like $40,000 a month within 6 months before the baby was born. And on my wedding, because we got married, we got married right before the baby came. So she was 7 months pregnant in our wedding pictures, which she did not love. But we wanted to get married. My parents and her parents, both Jewish parents, were like insistent.
Yeah,
she wanted to wait till she had the baby and she looked good again. But they were like, you have to do it. So we did it. Which was a fine thing. It was a good thing to do anyway. It was a nice wedding. And anyway, so at the wedding, the guy who owned Iron Mag Labs was there, and he told PJ and I that our coupon codes, because he had been paying me $4,000 a month and PJ $4,000 a month, and I had brought PJ on as our main athlete. I told him, you have to hire this guy.
I think everybody can agree that going into a furniture store can be one of the most stressful things you can ever experience as a homeowner or a renter trying to fulfill all the furniture for your home or apartment. But I got to tell you what, when my wife and I bought our home, we needed to outfit our whole office. We needed a desk and we needed a place to read because we love to do that. So we found this amazing purple futon that just, we knew it was going to fit perfectly in there. And come to find out, once we ordered from Wayfair, oh my gosh, we were so happy with how it looked in the space. So again, we ordered from Wayfair, and honestly, you should too. They have everything from seating to appliances, grills, storage, lightings, and decor. One place, everything you need. No bouncing between stores. But here's the best part. I can't stand putting things together, but don't worry about it. They can literally deliver and put together and do everything from A to Z for you. You just pick what you want and they deal with the rest. Ready to upgrade your home for way less? Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home and get your space ready for less. That's WAYFAIR.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Even though PJ certainly was not worth $4,000 a month at the time, I was like, this is my best friend.
Yeah, of course.
You got to bring him on. He just got fired from Species, Dave Palumbo's company, who owned Dark's Muscle, also the supplement company. He had fired him because he didn't think it was worth $1,000 a month. He definitely was worth more than that. But I told Robert, $4,000 a month is a steal. The guy brought him on, and me and PJ went to work selling this guy supplements. So at my wedding, he told me, I want to really thank you guys. Your guys' coupon code, because back in the time, this was all coupon codes. PJ10 and Aaron 10% off. Yeah. Our coupon codes had generated $200,000 that month for him.
That month.
And I was like, whoa. And like he told us, probably not realizing that my mind immediately went to, what are we doing this for this guy?
Yeah.
If we could make $200,000 a month on his website with 10% off, on a high margin product, a capsule product.
What can we do?
And so that was kind of the start where I told PJ right then and there, like, we got to start doing this on our own. And then an opportunity came. There was the Designer Steroid Control Act of 2012, which went to the House, and it was basically to make pro hormones illegal. It was a list of pro hormones they thought were going to become illegal. And Robert DiMaggio, who owned Iron Mag Labs, who made a bunch of products in this category, two specifically, one called Super DMZ, and one called Methadrol Extreme. These two products were going to be on the list. And there's a guy named Rick Collins, who was a lawyer, a nutraceutical dietary supplement lawyer, amongst other things, who said, death and taxes and this law are certainties. This is definitely going to happen. So Robert, we had not had Asher yet. It was like Asher's any day now. And Robert told me he's going to dispose of all this stuff because he wants to get ahead of the law. So it had passed the House. It had not passed the Senate. And it hadn't been signed into law by President Obama. So I was like, So I was like, thinking about it. So I called him, I said, how many bottles do you have? He goes, I have 5,500 bottles of Super DMZ, and I have 2,500 bottles, I think, of Methadrol Extreme. And I'm like, okay. And I was like, would you be interested in giving them to me? If you give them to me, I will sell them. I'll figure out a way to sell them. I'll give you all of the cost of goods back. Send me the invoices. I'll pay you back for whatever they cost. And I'll split the profits with you, 33% you, 33% me, 33% PJ. And
peanut butter, the whole thing.
And say, give it to me. And that way you don't lose your money, because if you destroy it, it's gone. You're destroying it. So we ended up taking these products. He shipped them to my rental house on St. Andrews here in Boca. And it was like piles of boxes. The UPS people were obviously angry because they piled it up in front of the door where you could not, it was like a wall. And we saw all of it. And obviously, whatever it was, 7,500 bottles, you don't think is that much until you see the boxes. And it's like 50 boxes that are like the size of
it's massive.
Half a human box.
Yeah.
And they're piled up. And so we bring them in. We created a website called superdmz.com. We started marketing it using some digital marketing, which was very rudimentary at the time. Me and PJ's personal brands. And we ended up selling all of the products in about 60 days, which was way faster than we expected. And then something crazy happened. The end of the year happened, and it didn't go through the House, and Obama did not sign into law. So we were like, whoa. It was like, so me and PJ made $80,000 each. Robert made $80,000, and he made all of his cost of goods back. So I had 80 grand in my pocket for the first time in my life. PJ's 80 grand. We had a little other money saved up. Maybe I had 120 grand-ish. Maybe PJ has a little less. And we were like, whoa. And PJ's like, I'm going to buy a Mercedes. I'm like, don't buy a Mercedes. We need to put our money back. We have to re-up. We got to get more. There's no way. Like, we'll never do this again. Like, we're never going to like generate that kind of money. There's so much demand for this product. Now the product's not illegal. So I went to Robert and said, listen, let me have the IP, the Super DMZ and the Methyldraw Extreme IP, and we'll create a new company that you still have Iron Mag Labs, you still own it. We'll create a new company, whatever new co is, I have to make it up, to sell these two products. And we'll keep selling them until they become illegal, and before they become illegal, we'll discontinue them. And Robert, so I said, you're completely passive, you don't have to do anything. You get 33%, you don't even have to put up the money for the new products. We'll put up all the money for the products. So you're making 33% of every dollar we make, any profit.
Here's giving you IP.
Yeah, for here until perpetuity. So he goes, great, I'm in. So we started, we went to the kitchen table and first went to Sunbiz to register a name. And we kept thinking of names. And I said, let's just come up with two words like Black and Stone. Sounds hardcore. And I never even heard of like Blackstone Financial or any of that at the time. I didn't have any money to invest. So I was like, these are cool words, because it didn't matter anyway. Because all we're doing is selling these two products. It wasn't going to be a brand. We're just going to be selling products. Because these products are not going to be there forever anyway. So we start selling the products, and the law doesn't get reintroduced. And we're like, holy shit, And the product starts selling, and we start making money. It's like, it's very passive. So once we start going, it was like we're each making like $1,000 a day, and then $2,000 a day, and $3,000 a day. And we were I'll always remember this. We were at the Bahamas, me and PJ and his girlfriend at the time, my ex-wife. And that day we're at the Bahamas, and we made $5,000 each that day at the Bahamas.
Wow.
And I was like, this is fucking crazy.
That's nuts, dude.
Like, so we're in the Bahamas making $5,000 a day, and we're not doing anything. And
it's not illegal.
And it's not illegal. And so we started adding products. So we made a pre-workout product and other products, and we kept adding on. And before you know it, it became a brand. And the first year, we did like $1 million something in that first calendar year. And then we did 3, and then we did 8, and then we did 20, 19, and then I was gone. But yeah.
So where did it go wrong?
With me and PJ, or
just no, the whole thing.
Nothing went wrong.
The indictment.
So none of that happened while I was there.
Okay.
I left the business in 2016. In right in the beginning of 2016, we had a big partnership dispute, huge fight. I ended up leaving the business. I sold my shares of the business. So I was completely out in 2016. I started Redcon in May of 2016, hence the 10-year anniversary coming up now. So I was completely out when the FDA raided Blackstone in March of 2017. I had been gone for a year. So I never thought really, I never seriously considered the fact that I could even be in trouble, because in 2017 I'm long gone. I don't own the shares. I have nothing to do with it. I didn't know what it was about. So I left Blackstone because me and PJ weren't getting along at all. And our investor, who was there at the time in Blackstone, didn't get along with me either. And they thought it would be better if I were to leave and PJ were to run things. And obviously now, looking back, that wasn't the right move for the investor or for PJ or really anybody but me.
Yeah.
It worked out good for me. Nobody else did it work out good for. I mean, thank God it worked out exactly the way it did. It's funny, so that's a great example of where anybody else would say you got knocked down, right? Or, life was tough. I was making, $300,000 a month in this business.
It's insane.
A high margin business. I'm only winning 33%. I'm making a lot of money. And I was having a great time. And I wasn't having a great time with PJ. We were having a lot of fights at the time. And, but like, it seemed like everything was going great. And then one day I walk into the office and I literally get kicked out. And PJ and the other shareholders said, like, you're out. And it was a whole drama ensued with this. Eventually, I was able to stay on because they couldn't kick me out. I got lawyers involved. I owned 50% of the voting rights, so I had half the board seats. So this investor, when he came on, he had no board seats, he had no voting rights, so it was really 50-50. So we were deadlocked. PJ wanted me out, I wanted to stay in. They had to get rid of me, they buy me out, essentially. So it ended up working out wonderfully because even though when I left that day, the office, after being kicked out, I like couldn't believe. Like I was like in shell shock that this could happen, that they would want me out. Like I'm doing everything. I'm the brains of the operation. You want me to be out of the.
And you brought him there. I mean, I
brought him there.
You see what I'm saying? Like,
no, I did. I involved him in the business. That's, you know, like ultimately, it is what it is. But so at the moment, you can imagine feeling devastated, calling my ex-wife, my wife at the time, and her being like, "This is impossible. How could this happen? People are crying." He fired my father-in-law, my assistant. My nanny's husband, anybody associated directly with me, PJ fired that day. All these people walk out. They're like, what happened to my job or my career or whatever? You know, and I took a day to be sad. I probably drank too much. And the next day I got together with that same group of people he fired and I said, fuck them. Let's go and start another company and figure out what we're going to do. And that was the beginning of Redcon. We quickly started Redcon1. And if it wasn't for PJ kicking me out, I would never have started Redcon. I would have stayed at Blackstone. I would have been there when the feds came. I would have not created a successful business, much, much more successful than Blackstone ever was. We had $1 million a month within the first year of the business. We passed up, in the second year of the business, we passed up Blackstone's best year. In the third year of the business, we more than doubled their total revenue of their best year. In the third year of business, we did more than they did in the entire history of Blackstone in that year. So, and significantly more. So we were doing 9 figures in revenue by the time that I was actually indicted. I mean, we were doing well over 100 million in revenue the year I was indicted. And if I wouldn't have been kicked out of Blackstone, which seemed like a horrible thing, I wouldn't have had the Redcon success, all the money along the way, because Blackstone nosedived after that, after the indictment. They're really after the FDA raid, it nosedived. So this thing that on the outward, anybody looking out in from the outside would say, wow, this is really bad. His life, he's fucked. But because I got immediately back up and started focusing on creating additional successes as opposed to focusing on how fucked up it was that I got kicked out of the business, like saying like, I brought this fucking guy in and like, I'm so sad. And how did this happen to me? I didn't even think about that.
No, you handled it like a winner, not a victim.
No, I wasn't a victim. I immediately started the other company. The company immediately started winning. And because of that, before I went to prison, I closed a private equity deal, which is, I know it's in the beginning of the chapter of the book I sent. So I made generational wealth because PJ kicked me out of the business. Instead of, being there, like literally in spite of it, I guess you could say, being kicked out, I figured out a way to create generational wealth for my family and my kids in a period of time where most people would have been devastated because of leaving the business, but also getting indicted by the federal government, the impending potential prison sentence, and all the bad things that happen along the way.
Yeah, so that's why when I opened up the show, talking about not the Instagram version, not the motivational poster version, the real version of determination, most people would have taken a breath. Most people would have lost momentum. And a lot of other people would have sat there and blamed external forces for the shortcoming or the adverse moments they're about to have. You looked at it and like, this is the best thing that's happened. Because of this, I have generational wealth. That is a special quality.
Yes.
Very.
I think everybody can agree that going into a furniture store can be one of the most stressful things you can ever experience as a homeowner or a renter trying to fulfill all the furniture for your home or apartment. But I got to tell you what, when my wife and I bought our home, we needed to outfit our whole office. We needed a desk and we needed a place to read because we love to do that. So we found this amazing purple futon that just, we knew it was going to fit perfectly in there. And come to find out, once we ordered from Wayfair, oh my gosh, we were so happy with how it looked in the space. So again, we ordered from Wayfair, and honestly, you should too. They have everything from seating to appliances, grills, storage, lightings, and decor. One place, everything you need. No bouncing between stores. But here's the best part. I can't stand putting things together. but don't worry about it. They can literally deliver and put together and do everything from A to Z for you. You just pick what you want and they deal with the rest. Ready to upgrade your home for way less? Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home and get your space ready for less. That's WAYFAIR.com.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Yeah, I've heard that before. It's almost like I don't really have the ability to feel sorry for myself or look back at things when they happened and like dwell on them. I'm able to move past things very, very quickly, which, I've also been told that could be a negative by people, but it served me very well.
Yeah.
I'm talking about with relationships, with anything, when things go south and I can't see a way out, I can't figure out a way to repair it.
Yeah.
Then I move on and then I don't look back. I don't get sad about the past. I can reminisce every once in a while, like now we're reminiscing, but I really don't go and feel sorry for myself.
I think it's another special quality, right? Because it's something that I've had to work through my whole life. When I was younger, I did get the victim mentality, but now I look at, okay, this thing happened. What's the reason? What is this doing for me, instead of, why me?
Right.
Why me?
Right, of course.
I lost this massive deal. Oh my God, what's going to happen? What's going to happen is something better is going to come along.
Yep.
And
if you believe it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can look back to 2 months ago thinking, oh wow, this is bad. And then where I'm at right now, thank God that didn't happen, because I caught that in 5 different lies. That's not a partnership you want. So I think what people need to understand is, no matter how bad it gets, no matter what you're going through, it's focus on potentially what is this doing for me instead of to me, and then find a way to move forward every single day with just a little bit.
I agree. I agree.
You know what I mean? You were sentenced to 52 months. Long ass time. You served 11 months, right? In Pensacola.
Yes.
And the first thing you did when you came out of those gates in Pensacola, you took a video with your kids.
Yes.
Tell me about that moment, man.
Well, you sit in there. So first off, I went to, unfortunately, this was during COVID time. So I made it, even though it wasn't during COVID time, it was completely past COVID time.
It's fucking
2022. It was not COVID time anymore. I mean, was it ever COVID time? I don't know. It's a good question. But this was definitely not COVID time. Nobody was scared of COVID. The guards weren't scared. None of the prisoners were scared anymore. We wore these masks that you hung down off your face. I mean, it was ridiculous. But because of that, it made my time much, much harder. So when I initially went to, when I got sentenced, I went to county jail for 2 weeks, which was terrible. And then I went from county jail to the Miami federal holding facility for almost 100 days. And you were locked down in a cell for 23 hours out of the day.
Was it 8 by 10?
Yes, very small, with one other man. Thank God I had a very nice guy in the cell with me for most of the time. And I was very difficult in comparison to the rest of my time, and difficult compared to most people that have to do minimum security camp time. Usually you don't have to do this. Most people are able to turn themselves into the camp, where you just walk in. It's almost like you're checking into a hotel, but you don't have any bags. You want people will literally walk in, walk up to they walk through the security and walk up and hey, turning myself in. They're usually not that happy, but they're turning myself in. And then
I'm here.
They bring them into intake, and they sit them there for the next 10 hours while they do the intake, because they're slow as shit. Anything related to prison they're on prison time, which is slow. They do not care. They don't get any more money for speeding up. So they're going to go as slowly as possible and as inefficiently as possible. So I went through a process of going through that, and then being shackled up and put into a school bus, essentially, and driven 15 hours to Tallahassee, and then spending the night in Tallahassee, and then taking another bus and going to Pensacola. So when I got to Pensacola, it was like freedom almost. Because that was so bad. The other part was so horrible. And being shackled was horrible. Shackled to another man, you can't get up. I mean, it's bad. That was a really bad part. And then I got to Pensacola, and the first thing they do after intake is they go, have you been vaccinated? And I'm like, no. And they're like, you got to go to quarantine. And I was like, oh my God, this is my 4th quarantine. So every time they would quarantine you for 14 days. So I went, I feel like I'm in freedom. I'm seeing people walking around. I saw there's a weight pile. That's the reason I went to go to Pensacola. I requested to go to Pensacola. And when I got there, I was so excited to be able to walk around and stuff, get commissary. And then they put us in the holding facility for 14 more days, which was like,
dude, I'm
so close. I'm so close.
That's a long time, man.
So yeah. So by the time that I was getting out, I had been in the drug program for months and months and months. The drug program called RDAP, the Residential Drug and Alcohol Treatment Program, was absolutely horrible. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever been. It made the whole thing so much worse. And I have a bunch of prison guys that work here for me now that I met in Pensacola. I have I should have introduced you downstairs in the warehouse. Could look for some of them. Lance. I don't remember if you remember Evan, who I introduced you to, who works for, he was in the office with the neon lights.
Yes.
Walking around. That guy, he was in prison for 6 years. Evan,
Wow.
he runs the First Class Fulfillment Center downstairs, the warehouse. And I found a lot of great guys there, a lot of great guys. But in that drug program, man, they just beat you down. And the whole idea of it isn't, they don't even talk about drugs and alcohol. They talk about behavioral changes, altering your behavior by basically beating you down and whatever self-confidence you have.
It's like art of war almost.
It was horrible. It was a horrible experience. But every morning I would sit in the chapel when we do our morning meetings. I would look out the window because you could see people coming and going. Because I would see the gates and I would be like, one of these days I'm going to walk out of those gates.
My 3 boys.
Yeah, and they came and it was amazing. It happened very quickly. It was like, I found out I was getting out, and then like a few days later they were there, and I'm wearing my gray sweatpants and sweatshirt and like anonymous, whatever it was, like Adidas shoes that they sell at the commissary. Yeah. And it's funny, my friends were there, like didn't even recognize me because like this is like.
Were you smaller?
No, I was fatter, but I was
you were fatter.
I was 250. I trained every day and I was on a strict diet the whole time, but I was fatter and I was very, very hairy.
Oh, really?
Because I never shaved anything, right?
Yeah.
My face, but everything else is like full. Like
you had to manscape, bro.
Oh my God. Well, in prison here, probably.
You can't do. Yeah. No. I'm not. No, I'm saying when you got home.
Yes.
Do not manscape in prison.
No, you don't.
That's a bad thing to do. It's a bad idea.
Yes, bad idea.
Don't do that shit.
No, it's funny because the people that would manscape in prison, it's like I would see them shaving their arms and stuff. I'm like, probably a bad idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. So that. Looking out the window, I would imagine that. So having it happen was unbelievable, and the kids coming up and, and crying and being excited. And they had signs and stuff. It was really, it was unbelievable. The whole thing was unbelievable.
Man,
it was great.
Man. I know how I feel when I come home from a shoot and I'm gone 2 days.
Oh yeah.
And I walk through the door. My 7-year-old that we've talked about a lot, and my 9-year-old, they'll run to me.
Oh yeah.
I mean, full on sprint. Like I've been gone for 17 months.
So you can imagine how they did.
I can't imagine, I don't even want to put my mind there, but I can
that was the toughest part for
sure.
I
bet, man.
Not having family, I had a lot of visitors. So I had the good fortune of owning a private jet at the time.
Okay.
So they would get on my plane from the Boca airport, and I had visitors every weekend. Unfortunately, my ex-wife and my kids did not often come, even though I tried to make it. So there was no reason for them not to be able to come, but they didn't come as much as I would have liked. They came only a few times when I was there.
A few times seeing your 3 boys.
Yeah, it was shitty.
And 11, it's
very shitty. But when they picked me up, we went and got, literally, you got to imagine the incredible juxtaposition of 1 minute you're in prison, eating your canned tuna, or really it's a packets of tuna, and microwaving your white rice and living with, in my cell I had 6 other guys in a little dorm room. And then literally within 15 minutes from them picking me up, we're on a private jet eating caviar, they wanted, because I know I love caviar, I'm putting on my watch, I'm putting my clothes back on. It's like, it's weird. You're in the plane literally being like, having a vodka, being like, where did I go? You go to like a different dimension. Like it was like such a crazy thing to literally be in prison, and 15 minutes later you're on your plane, taking off, flying over it, changing your clothes, having a vodka, eating caviar, chips and caviar, and all your friends are on the plane and your kids, and it's like, what just happened? Like, holy fucking shit.
That's a massive paradigm shift.
It was unbelievable.
Man, most people when they get out of prison, they get their $40 or whatever.
Oh no, it's bad.
It's bad.
When I got my commissary card, named Shannon Alford, who works for me to this day. When I got my commissary card, it had $2,100 on the credit card. I gave it to him.
Oh wow!
I was like, "Here you go, man." It's like you didn't need it more than me, And he actually works for me to this day.
That's badass.
He moved down here right after, and lived at the gym for a while. Worked for me at the gym, and has has figured out life, and it's very difficult for most of these guys. I'm a very, very unusual story to get picked up by 2 Suburbans full of your friends to bring you to the private jet and fly home to the Rolls Royce. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, it doesn't exist. I mean, I've never been on a private jet.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
there you go. So
never.
It's you can imagine how surreal it would be to go from prison to that, and then landing and everybody being there. And then, I mean, on the flip side, you get out and everything is happy. That same day, I went home back to my house with my kids, my ex-wife, and my wife did not get on the plane to pick me up. And when I got home, she immediately left me with the kids and went to a dance contest in Miami that she'd been planning on doing. So I was like, oh, we're getting divorced.
Oh, so you weren't divorced?
No, I wasn't divorced. But I knew I was divorced then.
Oh, yeah, you knew.
I was like, oh, yeah.
Wow. When she didn't show up?
Yeah, she didn't show up with the kids to pick me up. She didn't show up, and when I got home, she immediately left.
Who brought the kids?
All my friends.
All your friends? That's awesome.
Kids,
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's, there's ups and downs. It's even when you think you're up, you're down a little bit. But it was hard, honestly, being out of prison. It was hard. A lot of people were concerned about me because I ended up not going back into the house with the kids immediately. I went into a rental house that we had in Seven Bridges. It's a neighborhood. It's a nice neighborhood, a little bit out west. And the house was rented for 2 years. So when I moved in, it was empty. And people came over because I did a party in the new house, get welcome home people party. And I had 100 people at the house and catered and bartenders. And people are looking around this house and they're like, you're going to stay here? It's a 9,000 square foot house with nothing. A couch, a TV, no pictures, no nothing.
Small rental.
It was our house that we were renting to other people, but it's a big empty house. Imagine a house that big with nothing on the wall, with no furniture except a bed in the bedroom, a TV in the bedroom, a couch, and a TV. That's it. I mean, this big house to have nothing.
Yeah, no shit.
And people are like, bro, you're going to be all right here? Because, honestly, it would have been better to be elsewhere other than there. I ended up moving right thereafter, and I moved to Mar-a-Lago, where I got a bungalow at Mar-a-Lago on the beach for a month. Because I was like, I'd rather be in a small hotel room. I'm more used to that at this point. On the beach with people around, as opposed to a big house. So whenever I get my kids, which ended up being half the time, I would bring them to the big house, and I got them beds in there, and they had fun still at the big house and a big pool, and they liked it. And then when they were gone, I'd go to Mar-a-Lago and stay at the club there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was cool.
What's really impressive, you're in prison.
Yeah.
Redcon1, still going. And exploding. Yeah. I mean, again, we mentioned it, 5 employees to 150, 300% year-over-year growth. What did that teach you about this company and your leadership in the sense that it still grew when you were gone?
It slowed down a lot. I will tell you, it slowed down a lot when I was gone. I had Eric Hart, who you met when we did the tour, who ran the company when I was gone. I would tell you that we didn't plan it out well. If I were to do it again, which hopefully I'll never ever in a million years do again. I'll never in a million years do again.
Because I know you now that I'm going to be sad you're gone.
No, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere. I don't do anything. With Eric and with the team here, I didn't have a succession plan. So I never believed I was going to go to prison. So until the very end, I really didn't believe it. Because my intention was always to go to trial and to win. Because I had all the proof that I believed would be exculpatory enough to get a jury to realize I didn't do anything. Because you have to have intent. So it's one of the things, intent is required. It's called mens rea. You have to have this. Intent is required to break the law. So for example, let's say I put a kilo of cocaine in your bag in the airport and they stop you and you had no idea. You can prove you didn't put it in the bag. You weren't with the bag. That's what they ask you, you were with the bag the whole time, right? But you prove that I put it in your bag and you didn't know, then you can't be culpable for it. You didn't do anything wrong. So I felt like I had enough proof. I mean, I knew that I didn't do it on purpose. I knew that we didn't sell the pro hormones that were on the list on purpose. There was no question about it in my mind. And so I spent $6 million on a legal defense. I had the best lawyers in the world.
$6 million.
$6 million. I had Alan Dershowitz working on the case. I had some of the most famous lawyers in the world working on my case. It was a case of first impression where nobody in the history of America had ever been arrested for this charge, because it was the Designer Steroid Control Act of 2014 that passed. So on that list, there were 25 compounds. The 2 that we continue to sell were not on the list. We discontinued all the ones that were on the list. So we did a lot of things to make sure that we weren't doing anything illegal.
So what was the crime?
The crime was that a prosecutor from the DOJ was referred the case by the FDA, and they wanted to get somebody. And there was many, many, many other people selling the same supplements, but they chose us. And so we got a very, very long sentence for selling pro hormones. At the time of trial, at the time of sentencing, there was nobody that came for victims. There was no victims to be heard. There was nobody hurt where they said like, hey, I was hurt. I was killed. My family, it was like a fentanyl case.
Of course.
It was a muscle building case.
Yeah, exactly.
So the hope was that all these people that had gotten indicted for actual anabolic steroids, there was a police officer, one of the cases we showed, police officer who sold and made his own anabolic steroids in his house, sold them to people at the gym. He's a police officer. And he used a GoFundMe. Oh, not GoFundMe. What's for donations? I forget now.
That's a GoFundMe.
GoFundMe.
Yeah,
so he did a GoFundMe so he could launder the money through his GoFundMe. So the people at his gym would pay the GoFundMe. He would give them the steroids, and that way he thought he was cleaning the money. He got indicted. He served 18 months in prison.
Wow.
So we showed all this to the judge, and the judge gets to make his decision, and they usually follow the point system. And I had enough points based on the amount of dollars and everything else that he gave me right in the normal. He didn't go above, didn't make an upward departure or a downward departure. We were really hoping he would make a downward departure. I paid my entire fine for everybody.
2.9 million, right?
2.9 million. Yeah, 2.9 million, which was everybody. I paid everybody's fine in cash so that I could be done with it. Because I was told by the lawyers that I would be better served in terms of sentencing to basically pay everything for everybody. Because he'll go, well, he's already paid his fine. He's already paid the fee for everybody. So it doesn't make sense to penalize him if there's not victims and the fee has already been paid. So that was my thought process. That was the lawyer's thought process. It did not work. It didn't help me at all.
Didn't help you at all.
It didn't help me at all. It hurt me $3 million, $2.9 million.
Yeah, 2.9 million. But you know what, man? You didn't serve 52 months. You served 11, and
it was. Look, I in this particular scenario, it could have been much worse.
Sure,
could have been much worse.
Sure, man. Well, look, man, you've obviously are doing very, very well, and it's great to see. I got one more question for you. With everything you've been through in your life, the drug addiction, death, loss, prison, divorce.
So many things.
We all have, right? Well, we all deal with a lot of adversity. Sure. After all of that, what does being determined actually mean to you?
It means believing in yourself and believing in your path and your goals. I think that one of the things that has helped me is being sometimes irrationally self-confident, an irrational belief in myself, where I always feel like I'm gonna get through it and it'll work out all right somehow or another. It will. And I think that could be very easily defined as determination,
I love it, man. Dude, thank you so much for coming on, dude.
Oh, my pleasure.
I really enjoyed talking to you, getting to know you, going on the tour, and just the start of a really good friendship, man.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
For sure, Shawn.
For you guys, take your butts to Redcon1, search the internet, get your supplements, Total War pre-workout, get the MRE Light. It's whole food protein. That's the only thing I touch. So do that. Redcon1's a place to go for all your supplement needs. And until next time, guys, stay determined.